There is a strange quiet in the professional camera market right now. If you are about to drop $6,000 on a flagship mirrorless body, you need to stop, because you are buying at exactly the wrong time. The current Nikon Z9 is a masterpiece. But the supply chain leaks for the Z9 Mark II have started, and they are pointing to something that makes a standard resolution bump look like a joke. We are not just talking about more megapixels. We are looking at a camera designed to do the impossible, completely erase the line between a brutally fast sports body and a high-end cinema rig.
But there is a catch, and depending on what you shoot, waiting could cost you just as much as buying today. Before the hype gets entirely out of control, we need to separate the confirmed facts from the wish lists. The biggest rumored upgrade for the Z9 II starts right at the sensor level. Instead of chasing a massive and unnecessary increase in megapixels to compete with medium format, Nikon is reportedly sticking to a 46 megapixel stacked sensor. But the magic is in the architecture. This new sensor is allegedly capable of reading out data around 3.5 times faster than the already blisteringly quick original Z9.
And for working professionals, that single specification changes everything. Why does a faster readout matter more than extra resolution? It comes down to eliminating the final compromises of fully electronic shutters. A sensor reading out 3.5 times faster means rolling shutter distortion practically vanishes, even when panning aggressively during motorsports or tracking erratic wildlife. More importantly, rumors point to an electronic flash synchronization speed reaching 1/720th of a second. If true, portrait and commercial photographers could overpower the sun with studio strobes without relying on high-speed sync, which severely drains flash power.
This makes the mechanical shutter completely obsolete. Then there is the matter of continuous shooting speed. The current Z9 is no slouch, capturing full-resolution raw images at 20 frames per second. But the Z9 Mark II rumor pushes that envelope to an extraordinary 60 frames per second at full 46 megapixel resolution. Powered by the anticipated X-Speed 8 processor, this would fundamentally alter how action is captured. For an Olympic sports shooter or a professional bird photographer, tripling the raw burst rate means tripling the chances of catching the exact decisive moment of impact or flight. It is a staggering amount of data to process.
Speaking of processing massive amounts of data, we need to talk about the video side of this camera. And this is where the rumored delay to 2027 actually starts to make logical sense. As you likely know, Nikon recently acquired RED Digital Cinema. RED technology is no longer just a hypothetical future possibility for Nikon mirrorless bodies. We have already seen the first fruits of this acquisition in recent firmware and the new cinema lineup. But the flagship Z9 Mark II is where Nikon is expected to fully flex this massive industry-shifting buyout.
The original Z9 already records internal 8K RAW video up to 60 frames per second. Simply slapping another 8K logo on the box of the successor would not justify years of research and development. Instead, rumors suggest the Z9 Mark II will feature deep, native integration of 12-bit RED code RAW. We are talking about cinema-grade workflows, potentially utilizing the full sensor width for open-gate recording. This would allow filmmakers to capture maximum dynamic range and color depth using RED's legendary color science directly inside a weather-sealed, hybrid mirrorless camera body without external recorders.
But combining a significantly faster stacked sensor, 60 frame per second full-resolution raw stills, and a genuinely deeper RED workflow requires an immense amount of processing power and thermal management. That heat is exactly why some industry analysts believe the camera has been pushed back. Nikon cannot afford to release a flagship that overheats under professional demands. Developing the new X-Speed 8 processor to handle that thermal load while also finalizing the RED integration takes serious time.
That is why earlier expectations of a release this year have quietly shifted toward a much more realistic target timeline. There are also wilder rumors floating around the community, like a native base ISO of 32. A ridiculously low native ISO would essentially act like a built-in neutral density filter. This would allow portrait photographers to shoot wide open at f1.2 in bright sunlight, or landscape shooters to drag the shutter for smooth water without attaching extra glass. While this sounds like a dream feature, it is highly unconfirmed.
Professional sports bodies traditionally sacrifice extreme low base ISO to achieve better high ISO performance for indoor arenas and poorly lit night stadiums. So, this brings us to the ultimate question. Should you wait until late next year or 2027 for the Nikon Z9 Mark II, or should you invest in the current system today? If you are already shooting with a Z9 or a Z8, the answer is simple. Keep shooting. Your camera is not obsolete. The existing Z9 remains an absolute powerhouse with its stacked sensor and incredibly robust firmware updates. Nothing about these unconfirmed rumors should make a working professional stop using a tool that already pays the bills and gets the job done.
But if you are currently using an older DSLR or a first-generation mirrorless body, and you are feeling the limitations of slow autofocus and rolling shutter, the decision is harder. If your main bottleneck is sensor readout speed during extreme action, or you desperately want to combine high-speed stills with a native RED cinema workflow, then waiting becomes a very valid strategy, because the real upgrade is not going to be some marginal increase in megapixels. It is going to be Nikon building a flagship that essentially behaves like two completely distinct, high-end cameras in one.
On one side, you will have a brutally fast, distortion-free sports camera capturing 60 frames per second. On the other side, you will have a serious RED-influenced cinema tool capable of open-gate RAW recording. The only real question left is whether Nikon can successfully engineer all of this technology into a single body without thermal compromises. And more importantly, whether they can deliver it at a price point that makes sense in a highly competitive market. For now, we wait and watch.